going to do a Greek lamb stew. It takes a little over an hour. You can slow cook it as well for about 6 to 8 hours. The results turn out great either way. It's a really tasty dish and really simple. Ingredients that you'll need are 600 grams of chopped lamb shoulder. You can use lamb leg if you like, I prefer shoulder. 2 large handfuls of baby spinach or ordinary spinach. 200 grams of Orzo, the same consistency and grain style as rice, but it's actually pasta. So 200 grams of Orzo, you can get this in any supermarket. 1.5 large onions, roughly 75 to 100 grams of runny honey, 50 grams of tomato puree, 100 grams of crumbled Greek or feta cheese, 1 tin or 400 grams of chopped tomatoes, a few generous sprigs of rosemary, and then what we've got here is a bouquet garni. You can buy these at any supermarket as well. It's just a mixture of some really aromatic herbs and spices. It's almost like a tea bag. That just goes straight into our dish. You'll also need approximately a litre of lamb stock. So first things first, let's get our prep done. There really isn't much to prep at all. I'm just heating the lamb stock up here. Let's preheat our oven to 200 degrees and then peel and chop our onions. Now our onions are chopped, give yourself a casserole dish, pop it onto the hob, just a little bit of olive oil in there, and pop your onions straight in. Just going to brown those off slightly in there. Okay, so while our onions are just frying off lightly in the casserole dish there, just going to grab myself a pan. Again, just a touch of olive oil. I'm going to start browning off this lamb. It won't take long to brown the lamb off, 10-15 minutes. Just whack it up to a high heat. Keep stirring and turning the lamb every couple of minutes or so. You just want it to brown off lightly on the outside. And also the onions will go translucent, start to reduce down a little bit. Okay, now that our onions have reduced down in the translucent, just grab a couple of sprigs of rosemary, hold them from the top and just literally run your fingers down the stem. And you'll be left with the stem and all the little leaves here. And do the same with all your rosemary. Onto your chopping board and then just roughly chop it. Okay, once you've roughly chopped all that rosemary, whack it straight in with your onions and in goes your tomato puree. That little stir up, get it all mixed in. Okay, next you want your runny honey in there too. Yeah, again another mix up, get it all stirred in there nicely and incorporated. Got those onions in there, the tomato paste and the rosemary and that honey. Just, you can smell it, it's absolutely fragrant, really lovely. And the lamb's just finishing browning off down here. Okay, so we're about 15-ish minutes into the cooking now. And the lamb's lovely and brown. That's going to go straight in our casserole dish. Again, just give that a nice little stir up. This really is a very easy dish to cook. So we've got our lamb in here, the onions, the tomato puree, rosemary and the honey. Next, a tin of tomatoes. Stir that up. And the lamb stock. Okay, so just before we pop this in the oven, get your bouquet garni in there, give it a little stir in. That'll just release all those lovely flavours in there. Just going to go straight into our preheated oven. Okay, so the first part of our Greek lamb stew is in the oven and we're going to take that out after about 20 minutes, just when it's nicely cooked through. And then we're going to add the orzo in there and the spinach as well, pop it back into the oven for another half an hour, 45 minutes, and then it's ready to serve, ready to eat. If you are going to slow cook yours, the stage we're at now, you want to be slow cooking it on a high heat for about 4 hours. After 4 hours, pop your orzo and your spinach in, reduce it to a low heat, cook it for a further 2 hours, and just leave it as long as you like. That'll just give it that extra little bit of tenderness to the lamb, but cooking it this way is just as good, just as flavoursome, and I hope you enjoy it. We're at the 20-minute mark, then I'm just going to take our stew out of the oven. Be careful when you do this, because it will be absolutely piping hot. Lovely. I'll just show you what this looks like. That's great. The smell in here is absolutely fantastic. The next phase, get your spinach in there. probably thinking there's a lot of spinach there, but it really wilts down to next to nothing. So that spinach is in. And then next, the orzo. What this is going to do is going to add this other dimension to the dish. It's going to soak up most of that liquid that's in there as well. We'll reduce the heat to 160 and just leave that bubbling away for about 45 minutes. So we're now 45 minutes on. Our Greek lamb stew is done. Carefully take that out of the oven. So the last thing to do just before you serve, there it is. Find your bouquet garni and just discard that, you don't want to eat that. So grab yourself a bowl. Simply spoon some of your Greek lamb stew into the bowl and just crumble a little of this feta cheese on the top. And there we have it, Greek lamb stew.